Hi, it's Barb, Meeple PhD, bringing you another Cosmic Game Connection. This month, May 2019, marks the 100th anniversary of a total solar eclipse that propelled a young scientist into the limelight. You've probably heard of him. His name is Einstein. Now, the story starts a bit before May 1919. It was in 1905 that Einstein first published his special relativity. In this theory, he realized that space and time were interwoven into a single entity that he called space-time. From 1907 until 1915, he worked on extending special relativity to include gravity. And he succeeded. What he realized was that gravity could be understood as massive objects creating dents in space-time. And those dents, in turn, tell matter how to move through space-time. This is what we see as gravity, and was published as his general theory of relativity in 1915. The problem with general relativity is that it only comes into the picture if you are studying places of extreme gravity or need very, very precise measurements. Now, one prediction that could be tested is that starlight, when it passes near a massive object, will be deflected by the gravity of that object. On Earth, the nearest source of a lot of gravity is the sun. So if you could measure starlight just as it passes near the edge of the sun, according to Einstein, it will appear to come from a slightly different position because that starlight had been deflected. Now, you could do this during a total solar eclipse, when the light of the sun is blocked out by the moon for a few minutes. And on May 29th, 1919, that's exactly what they did. Two teams had been dispatched to different parts of the path of totality. And despite weather issues at both locations on the day of the eclipse, the sky cooperated long enough for both teams to take photographs during totality. Sure enough, those stars appeared to be in slightly different positions than they were in control photographs taken a few months before the eclipse, when the sun wasn't in the way of the starlight. And they had moved by exactly the amount that Einstein had predicted. When these results were announced in November of that year, newspapers across the globe proclaimed that Einstein's theory had been proven. Of course, that's not how science works. Theories are never 100% proven, and it takes more than a couple of tests before they'll be accepted by the scientific community. But history and a ton of additional testing have shown that those newspapers weren't too far wrong. And it was enough to propel Einstein into the global spotlight. The game that came to mind as I thought of this anniversary was perhaps the obvious choice: Einstein, His Amazing Life and Incomparable Science. Einstein is a short, tile placement and pattern matching game, where each player takes on the role of Einstein during a different phase of his life. Players each have a deck of cards that are inspirations that they are trying to complete and represent simple theories. They also have a set of tiles that represent different ideas from different branches in science. On their turn, a player will play two of their tiles into a shared area. If they complete one of their inspirations from their hand, they place it on the table. But if anyone else's ideas contributed to their pattern, those players also get a star, which represent game end points. There's also a deck of big ideas. 3 of them are on the table for any given player's turn, and they represent goals that all players can work toward. At the end of their turn, the player draws back up to their hand of 3 cards, replenishes the big idea, and play moves on to the next player. Play continues until the last of the big ideas cards is revealed. A player has drawn the last card from their deck, or a player has only 2 types of tiles left in front of them. At that point, you finish the round. Players count up their points from cards and from stars, and the player with the most points wins. Now, the theme is basically window dressing. But figuring out when and how to play your tiles is a fun, light puzzle. And all of the inspiration cards have some information about Einstein, his science, and his times. And if you read them, you'll come out a little bit smarter. The next time you find yourself playing Einstein, His Amazing Life and Incomparable Science, just remember that if the weather had not cleared on that fateful day in May 1919, Einstein might not be the household name that he is today, and you might not have that game on your shelf. Thanks for joining me. I'll come to you again with another Cosmic Game connection. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel so that you know when the new video comes out. In the meantime, you can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook as @MeeplePhD, and you can follow my blog at meeplephd.com. He worked from 1905 until 1915 to extend special relativity to include gravity. And he did. Well, yay for him.